Hey guys, welcome back to my channel Foolish Beauty. If you're new, my name is TJ and I upload weekly videos on beauty, travel, fashion and food. So if these are the videos you'd love to watch, then please don't forget to click that subscribe button and you would absolutely make my day. Now today I have hopefully a thorough but quick review of the latest launched MAC Mellow Moderns palette. This palette was recently released onto the UK MAC stores as well as website as a limited edition Spring-Summer 2016 palette. Now if you do reside in the US where Nordstroms are available, then this is actually a re-promotion of the Nordstrom's Finest palette which was launched a year ago. But for those of us who are in the UK or the rest of the world who don't have access to Nordstrom's palettes, then this is definitely a very exciting spring-summer palette launch from MAC. Now MAC has had a significant price drop recently, especially where these ready-made eyeshadow palettes are concerned. This palette is being launched onto the UK market for the price of £49.50, which is great value for money considering a single pan eyeshadow would set you back £10 or even up to £13 when it's, perfectly packaged in a single pan form. As far as packaging is concerned, I'm not going to go into too much details. I think we're probably all very similar with this hard plastic case and a see-through plastic top. Like all MAC eyeshadow palettes, it does come with a compressing plastic sheet, which is great for keeping your eyeshadows intact whilst travelling. Now this palette first caught my eye because I do think the colour selection is very spring-summer friendly, so without further delay let's have a look at each shade, and also at the end of swatches I will show you how I achieved this khaki green and smoky eye look. Starting with the top row, we have the first shade Beaded. This is a light golden beige with a frost finish. Moving along, the second one we have is Gold Mine, and this is an intense shimmery gold with yet another frost finish. Third one along we have Chains of Love, and this is another eyeshadow with a frost finish, and this is a really beautiful true shimmery bronze. Next to that we have Cork. This is a muted golden brown with a satin finish. Now this is a very famous MAC eyeshadow and I do think it's worth the fame, worth the hype, because it's such a great transitioning shade as well as an all-over eyeshadow shade. Last one in the top row is called Persuade. This is a matte eyeshadow. It's a very unique shade as well. In the pan it looks like an espresso colour, but when swatched it definitely leans very much on the grey side. So it's a dark grey with a slight espresso undertone. So this is what the top row looks like, and my star shades are definitely Chains of Love and Cork. Now moving on to the middle row, the first shade we have is Retro Spec, and this is a pale champagne shade with a luster finish. This is a very soft and creamy eyeshadow, super pigmented, and it's great for highlighting the inner tear duct area. Moving along we have Green Smoke. This is my absolute favourite eyeshadow out of the entire palette. It has a luster finish, so it has the same creamy pigmented formula. It is a stunning olive green with gold micro shimmer and a jewel chrome finish. It has so much depth behind this colour. And in the dead centre of the palette we have the shade Felt. This is meant to have a satin finish, but when swatched it does appear completely matte. It's a cool toned deep brown with a khaki green undertone. Next to that we have Print. This is another satin finish eyeshadow. Once again, when swatched, this one does appear a bit more on the matte side. This is a unique slate grey with micro shimmers running throughout it. However, the micro shimmers are not very detectable. This shade alone also has the most creamy texture out of all the eyeshadows within the palette. Final shade in the second row is Carbon. This is a very classic matte black shade. However, Carbon does seem to have a bad reputation in that it doesn't seem to adhere to the skin very well. It just seems to cling to your fingers or your brushes rather than being applied evenly to the eyelids. So I would say Carbon is a little bit of a dud shade out of this palette. Now this is an overlook of the middle row, and needless to say, Green Smoke definitely stole the show. Moving on to the third and final row, we start with the shade Orbs. This is a light peachy beige with a satin finish, which again appears slightly more on the matte side once applied on the eyes. I'm also happy enough to report this shade is light and pigmented enough to highlight my brow bone areas. Next one along we have this stunner of an eyeshadow called Luscious. This is a frost finish and it is a super intense coppery bronze with a metallic sheen. After that we have Soft Brown, which is a very famous MAC transitioning shade. This is just a beautiful peachy golden brown that has a matte finish, and it is a very good transitioning shade. Second to last shade in this palette is Tracks. This is a burgundy plum with rose gold shimmer. Now on the MAC website it is described as a velvet finish. I did have high hopes for Tracks to turn out a little bit more on the purple side rather than burgundy, and it is quite a hard eyeshadow to work with in the fact that it's not super pigmented and it's not as soft as all the other shades. So for all intents and purposes it is a slightly disappointing shade. Last but not least, we have Plumbed. This is a very stunning, bright, plummy shade with a cranberry dual chrome shimmer in a Velux pearl finish. This shade is very pigmented and super stunning. This is what the third row looks like. They're all very stunning or practical shades, maybe with the exception of Tracks being not so pigmented. Now just to quickly talk you through how I achieved this olive smoky eye using this palette. First of all, I went in with the shade Green Smoke using a flat shader brush, and I just blended that all out over my mobile lid area. To smoke out the outer V area, I used this shade Print. This is a very smoky grey shade, and I used it with a medium-sized pencil brush. And then for transitioning, I went in with this shade Soft Brown using a fluffy blending brush. After that, I went in with my trusty Soap & Glory eyeliner and just blending it out to create a slight cat eye. And then for my lower lash line, also using the Soap & Glory eyeliner, I first lined the outer third corner of my lower lash line, blending it nicely and softly with a flat shader brush. And then going back into the shade Green Smoke, I set that eyeliner with a sharp pencil brush. I also added the shade Gold Mine to the lower lash line to blend out the smoky effect and make it slightly more soft and natural. And then to finish it all off, I used the shade Orb to highlight my brow bone arch area, and then I went in with the shimmery champagne shade Retro Spec to highlight the inner tear duct area. So that's how I achieved this shimmery green smoky eye. I really love it. Overall, I actually really love this palette, much to my surprise. It doesn't look much on the website, and even when you get it in person, you're quite unsure because it's somewhere between a very neutral palette and a very bright palette, and that is what's so unique about this palette. It has some very stunning shimmery shades such as Luscious, Green Smoke and Chains of Love. It also has some very functional shades as well, such as Orb, Soft Brown and Cork. Alongside that, it also has some very quirky, unusual shades such as Plumbed, Print and Persuade. So all in all, I do believe this is a great spring-summer palette in the fact that it doesn't appear to be too bright or too neutral. The colour selection is pretty playful without being overly frosty or too cheap or too smoky. The price point, as I mentioned in the beginning, is very good indeed. So yes, I highly recommend the Mellow Moderns palette from MAC if you're on the market looking for a spring-summer palette. So that concludes my review for this MAC Mellow Moderns palette. I hope you really enjoyed it and found it helpful. And if you want to see more tutorials using this palette, then please don't forget to leave me a comment and let me know. Please also leave me a message to let me know if you have any video suggestions for my channel. I'd love to know what you'd like to see more of on my channel. Thank you ever so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, then please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Please also find me under the name Foodish Beauty on all other social media platforms so we can chat a bit further about beauty, fashion, travel and food. So take care my friends, and I'll see you next time. Bye!